At exactly 1:55 in the morning, inside a grand hotel in Cairo, a man took his final breath. Lord Carnarvon, a wealthy British aristocrat, a man who spent years chasing something buried beneath the Egyptian desert. For days he had been burning with fever, his body weak, his breathing heavy, and then silence. At that exact moment, the entire city of Cairo went dark. No warning, no clear explanation, just darkness swallowing a city. Thousands of miles away in England, his dog, perfectly healthy just moments before, suddenly began to scream. Not bark, scream. And then it collapsed. Dead. 2 deaths, 1 moment, separated by continents. And it all traced back to a tomb. A few months earlier, the Valley of the Kings, a place where time doesn't just pass, it settles. Buried in sand, Howard Carter had been searching here for years, not for treasure, not for fame, but for a name that history had almost erased: Tutankhamun. Most believed it was a lost cause. 15 years of digging, thousands of pounds spent, nothing. And then, this was supposed to be the final season, one last attempt before everything ended. Then one morning, something changed. A worker struck stone, not random stone, a carved step, then another, and another, until a staircase began to reveal itself, descending into the earth. Carter's heart started racing, because this wasn't normal. This was intentional, designed, hidden. The entrance was sealed, untouched, for over 3,000 years. Carter carefully made a small hole in the door. Warm air rushed out, as if the tomb itself was exhaling. He raised a candle. The flame flickered. His eyes adjusted to the darkness, and then he saw it. Gold. Not scattered, not looted, but preserved, perfectly. Behind him, Lord Carnarvon asked, "Can you see anything?" Carter didn't look away. He whispered, "Yes, wonderful things." Inside that tomb were over 5,000 objects. A solid gold coffin, a death mask weighing over 10 kilograms, jewelry, weapons, relics untouched by time. This wasn't just a discovery. It was history, frozen. At first, it was excitement, headlines, celebrations, global attention. But then, something small happened, something easy to ignore. Carter's pet canary was found inside its cage, dead. A cobra coiled inside, its jaws locked around the bird. In ancient Egypt, the cobra wasn't just a snake, it was a symbol. Royal, protective, deadly. And suddenly, the tone began to change. Then came Carnarvon's death. A simple insect bite, a shaving cut, an infection. In today's world, it would mean nothing. But in 1923, it meant everything. And then, the stories began. Newspapers claimed there was a warning on the tomb: "Death shall come on swift wings." It spread everywhere, faster than facts, stronger than logic. And suddenly, every death became connected. A visitor dies? The curse. A scientist falls ill? It's the curse. Someone unrelated passes away? Still, it's the curse. Then came the claim that made everything feel real. When Tutankhamun's mummy was examined, a mark was found on the cheek, same position as Carnarvon's fatal bite, 3,000 years apart, same mark. And that was the moment when people stopped questioning and started believing. But here's what almost no one talks about. There was no curse, no verified inscription, no ancient warning, nothing. The famous curse came from a newspaper and a novelist, not from Egypt. The reality was simpler and in some ways more unsettling. Carnarvon was already in poor health. Infections in that era were deadly. Inside ancient tombs, there are fungi, spores, bacteria preserved for centuries, and when disturbed, they don't stay buried. Years later, scientists tested the curse. They compared those who entered the tomb with those who didn't. The result? No difference, no pattern, no curse. In fact, many of the so-called victims lived long lives. If the curse was real, one man should have died first. Howard Carter, the man who opened the tomb, the man who stepped inside, the man who touched history. He lived for 16 more years. The curse wasn't ancient. It wasn't supernatural. It was something else. Fear, stories, and the human need to connect the dots that were never connected. Ancient Egyptians believed a person truly dies only when their name is forgotten. For 3,000 years, no one spoke his name until one man opened a door and made Tutankhamun immortal.